I move to return from executive session.
Second. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. If you could all rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, so today, and welcome, we have a public hearing for the Protect and Serve charge. And so I am going to go ahead and open this public hearing for the Protect and Serve charge in the Township in accordance with Section 503.54 of the Ohio Revised Code, and open up for a presentation by our Township Administrator.
Yes, good evening. Thank you, Mrs. Lawston. I want to give a little bit of background, and then I'll get into the actual legislation that is being proposed. So first, Anderson Township is funded primarily through property tax dollars. As you can see from this graph, 45% property tax, 34% is from TIF. There are very small percentages of other fees and other types of funding that are available. This graph shows the entire township. This is not focused solely on public services, but just to make the public aware. So other funding sources, and I've highlighted fire and rescue and sheriff because that's what this Protect and Serve charge is about. So with fire and rescue, back in 2016, we entered into a contract with the Village of Newtown to provide services to their 2,700 residents. We obtained about $675,000 per year through that contract. EMS billing, and this is only for patients that are transported. We average about $1 million a year. For CPR, first aid, instruction fees, and false alarm fees, we average about $35,000 a year. Grants, it depends on what we're seeking. And then the false alarm fees. False alarm fees, there's not a lot of revenue that comes in through there. The intent is not to receive a lot of revenue. The intent is to reduce the number of false alarms. We often have situations where businesses have a security code, or more often nonprofits have a security on their particular building, and not everybody knows the code. You go in, you set off the alarm, and that triggers all of our emergency responders to respond, which is not only a danger to the traveling public when they're responding lights and sirens, but it's an unneeded response because it's simply somebody entered the wrong code. So we work with businesses and try to reduce those false alarms as much as possible. The Board of Township Trustees is continually exploring ways to reduce the burden on its taxpayers. This is a concern. It has been a concern for a very long time, and we're ramping up efforts to look for ways. And one method of reducing that burden on taxpayers is what we're going to be discussing tonight, and that is a township admission fee. So township officials supported a change in state law which would allow us to charge an admission fee in certain circumstances. This law is permissive, meaning that it's up to the individual townships to choose whether or not they wish to institute this admission fee. Townships in the state of Ohio, there are 1,308 townships. We are the 5th largest township in the state of Ohio. And again, we're all dependent on property taxes as the primary source of revenue. We have very few options under the Ohio Revised Code. Municipalities can enact any law they choose to within their boundaries. Townships, we're allowed to do what the Ohio Revised Code tells us we can do, and not beyond that. So for this particular section of the code, Ohio Revised Code 503.54, this law became effective on April 3rd of this year, and it was introduced as part of House Bill 315 in the 135th General Assembly, which is the Township Omnibus Bill. It is specific as far as which venues the township admission fee can be charged. So a qualifying event venue, it's a theater, concert hall, entertainment venue, or similar space for performances or events. The venue has to have a capacity of at least 2,000 attendees, and the venue has to be situated on land which is exempt from property taxes. The law goes on to state that the fee shall not apply to county fairgrounds. It shall not apply to state political subdivisions, city, local, or school district events. So this fee could not be administered on any Forest Hill School District events, any Anderson Park District events, Great Parks of Hamilton County Township events, or any governmental events. The event is also has to be for admission that's above $10 for the fee to apply. Again, the law goes on. The board, should it choose to enact this legislation, it cannot charge more than $1 per ticket, $1 per admission fee. And if the board decides to act upon this, the legislation will not take effect for at least 30 days. The board would have the option to extend that period of time if it chooses to, say, in 60 days or 90 days. It's also subject to referendum should the board take action. If the public decides to file a petition, it can be done, and there's a process that has to be done to determine whether or not to continue with the fee. The last piece of the legislation talks about we have to establish all the regulations necessary, and there is a draft agenda. I don't know those in the audience picked it up. There's a draft agenda out there, or a draft resolution that talks about the procedures for how those taxes will be collected. If the board chooses to take action, this would be in effect until it's repealed by the board. So part of this statute requires notice to the public. There is a legal ad which was placed appropriately, had to run 2 consecutive weeks on the same day. The legal ad was placed, and we also had notices on our website, both in the calendar feature and the news feature. Currently in the township, there are 2 qualifying event venues. That's Riverbend Music Center and the PNC Pavilion, which is also located in that same parcel. Riverbend was built by the Symphony Orchestra to allow for outdoor concerts. Those of you that live in the community or have attended concerts at Riverbend know it's expanded far beyond that to not just host Cincinnati Symphony Orchestra, but also a number of high-end performers. So Riverbend has been in operation for 41 years. During that 41 years, it has been tax exempt. The capacity is 20,500, and it is owned by Riverbend Real Estate Holding, which is a LLC, a nonprofit limited liability company. Prior to that, it was the Cincinnati Symphony Orchestra. PNC is a newer facility opening in 2008 with only 4,100 seating capacity. It's owned by the same limited liability company. And when Riverbend is operating, a lot of the concert goers are folks from outside the township. So it's not just township residents that attend. And if the board enacts this township admission fee, it would apply to these 2 venues, but also any new venues that would happen to locate in the community if there are any. The Farmer Music Center, which is the new, larger 20,000 seat music center that Music Events Management, Inc. and the Cincinnati Symphony are planning to build, will be in the city of Cincinnati. It will not be in Anderson Township. But in March 8th of 2024, when the folks at MEMI and the CSO were talking about this new event venue, and I'm going to read this quote. The quote was, "The outdoor venue will be located inside the city of Cincinnati, northwest of Sutton Road, which divides the property between the city and Anderson Township, and deliver double the revenue to the symphony and at least $1.5 million in new admissions tax annually to the city, according to CSO MEMI estimates." So there is a ticket tax on the city side. There is not one on the Anderson Township side, primarily because we did not have the authority to do this before. It had to go through the Ohio General Assembly. So the yellow star in the lower left-hand corner of this screen is where Riverbend and PNC Pavilion are located. As you can see, we have 4 fire stations in the township, and those are identified by the red lines and the red dot. I want you to kind of keep this image in mind as we talk a little bit more about providing fire and rescue services to Riverbend and PNC. Similarly, with Hamilton County Sheriff's Office, we have 5 patrol beats. Aside from our specialty officer, there is 1 officer in each of those 5 beats, 24 hours. So the red area, number 1, is where Riverbend PNC is located. Just to cover some statistics, as I previously mentioned, Anderson is the 5th largest township in the state of Ohio. We have over 44,000 residents, 31.2 square miles, 4 fire stations with 17 personnel on duty 24/7. During 2024, fire and rescue made a total of 6,374 responses. With the sheriff's office, again, 5 beats. During 2024, they made 15,678 responses township-wide. When Riverbend has a sold-out concert, which often happens with the country concerts, our population swells to 64,588, which is 46.5% increase. When that happens, Fire and Rescue has a standing policy to schedule a 2-person medic unit on overtime down at Riverbend. This is to lessen the impact when we have, back to that picture where you see where those fire stations are. If we have to pull fire personnel from those stations to go down to the riverfront to provide service to the additional 20,000 people that are located there, it strains our services providing to those of us that are taxpayers in the community. This has been something that we have done for a while. And with Riverbend, the number of responses varies. There are times when we can get by with a concert where there aren't any needs for fire and rescue. But in 2024, the first Riverbend concert, Fire and Rescue responded to 7 incidents in the first 2 hours of the concert. Again, Riverbend is tax exempt. It's not only medical issues, it's not only people that overconsume certain beverages, it is traffic accidents, people traveling to and from the venue where there are potentially accidents or other things Fire and Rescue has to respond. Both venues, PNC and Riverbend, this year had, I think, roughly 35 concerts scheduled. Not all of those are sold out. Some of those are at the smaller PNC venue, but still it is a concern to make sure that we have staff on duty to respond to the rest of the community. The resolution that is proposed for the board's consideration, and I will state that there has to be one more public hearing that is scheduled for 11 p.m. on the 24th. So the board cannot act tonight. They have to wait through the next, 11 a.m. Sorry. Yes, 11 a.m. We were trying to schedule these public hearings at our regular board meetings, but the statute provides that the hearings have to be held more closely together, which is why we are doing it at 11 a.m. on the 24th. But should the board, after hearing public comment tonight and public comment on the 24th, should they wish to enact a resolution, what I am proposing is a fee in the amount of $1 per admission that would be collected on every ticket sold for those 2 particular venues. It is called the Protect and Serve charge. It is intentional because it is supposed to provide for public safety services to those venues. Again, it will not apply to county, school, park district events. The resolution would be able to take effect in 30 days. The board could choose to change that. I know at least one other jurisdiction in the state of Ohio that extended it to 60 days because they had a large nonprofit venue and they wanted to give them additional time to prepare and set up the regulations. And again, the revenue is to be used exclusively for police, fire, and emergency services. That is all I have unless the board has any questions or the public.
Yeah, so do you have any questions? Okay.
Actually, I have a question. So, police, fire, and emergency services. So, for instance, if when this venue gets bigger, there's additional traffic, so we could, pay additional sheriff's patrols to be down there directing traffic or coming up the hill or wherever needed, right? We could use this for that.
We could, and I failed to mention, I do want to mention that Riverbend does pay off-duty sheriff's officers to provide traffic control. Mm-hmm. They do not pay on the fire side. The only time on fire side is if a patient is transported to the hospital, we have EMS billing. Mm-hmm. But yes, the situation with the new Farmer Music Center, even though it is located in the city of Cincinnati, and we could not collect tax on that because it is in the city of Cincinnati, Anderson Township Fire and Rescue Station 10 is the closest station to provide services to that facility. So if somebody dials 911 or there's a response needed, more than likely our fire crews are going to be the first ones on scene, followed by the city. So there is the potential that there could be additional, plus, as you mentioned, Mrs. Stone, the traffic coming to and from the venue, which would travel through our community as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. I'm gonna go, if anyone of the public that wants to come up and comment or ask questions, you can come on up to the mic so we can all hear you. Thank you, Mr.
Roy Hall, 2884 Lengle. So does the city of Cincinnati pay if Anderson Fire and Rescue respond to a squad call? Have we negotiated with the city of Cincinnati to get some money?
It is a mutual aid situation where fire departments, just like Sheriff's Department, Village of Newtown Police, it's a mutual aid situation where we work together. So we, sometimes we respond to the city, sometimes they respond in the township.
So the answer is no.
That is correct.
Okay, that's all I want to know. And like with the Newtown thing, I saw how much we make. How much does it cost us?
And I don't have that number in front of me, but with Newtown services, the benefit with Newtown is not only the contract, not only the revenue we get there, but prior to our contract with the Village of Newtown, we were operating out of Fire Station 100 on Broadwell Road, which literally we couldn't have more than 2 personnel there at any given time because the septic system would not allow us to utilize showers, washing the trucks, and that type of thing. The station was in significant need of repair. So part of our agreement with the Village of Newtown is we operate out of their facility, Station 22, which is a relatively new fire station. So there's the benefit of not only the financial, but the fire station. And it also placed our personnel closer to Anderson Township residents because that fire station is more centrally located.
Okay. Now I have some other questions, but not on this topic. So.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the questions. Does anyone else? Because I will just open this up for the public to comment or question. You can come up and do so. Hi.
Ruth Hardy, 7757 Anderson Oaks Drive. Can you raise that $1 fee if in the future with inflation or whatever, if you need to?
Not without additional legislation. it's in the statute that it's a maximum of $1.
That's all I wanted to ask.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Hart. That was a good question. Really good. Anyone else? And we will have an additional public comment not related to this after this.
I just want to say that Anderson Township, we asked for this from the legislature because we've been dealing with this at Riverbend. I love Riverbend, nothing against Riverbend, but we've been dealing with this for many, many years, and we've been asking for the legislature to give us this for a long time, and finally they did it. So we feel that we want to take advantage of it. Yeah. So.
Well, then I'll transition to board discussion. Josh, did you have comments too?
No, you laid it out great, Vicki.
Yeah, Vicki, great job with the presentation. This has been a long labor of fluff.
15 years.
Yes, and Dee, very well said. That's exactly it. This has taken a lot of testifying, written, verbal, a lot of advocating, educating on how our situation is unique as townships, and that there are circumstances where it can put an unnecessary burden on our residents and taxpayers. And so with this provision, it allows when, we're talking about public safety funding, we're knowing that we're at least getting some revenue for situations and venues that are adding to the workload that are not our residents being serviced per se there. So for us, this is a really positive thing. It keeps money in the township for those services that, so that they're available for us without coming back to the taxpayers. So, thank you. Well said. Okay, so if that's it, I will close the public hearing, and I will announce that the second public hearing, as Vicki mentioned, will be on July 24th, 2025 at 11 a.m., and that's also published on our website on the calendar. Okay, so moving on to public forum, individuals who wish to address the board should state their name and address for the record, make their points as clearly and concisely as possible, and limit their comments to a maximum of 3 minutes, which may not be shared with or yielded to others. All comments shall be directed to the Board of Township Trustees. Thank you in advance for your comments.
I got this one. Thanks.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks.
Hi, Jennifer Capel, Cuffridge Drive. I'm going to start off with a quote from Josh Gross's Facebook page, which is public. We have statewide issues threatening our township, and we have people in our community struggling with loss. And yet some people choose to post, blog, and spread lies and hate. We are tired of the slander, with the vitriol, the public rhetoric, and the people just downright being mean. And unfortunately, we have that right in our beloved community. Josh, I could not agree more. Please note that everything I'm going to read comes from the public Facebook page of Andrew Pappas, who is your close personal friend. He's actually Facebook friends with all 3 trustees, former running mate, current campaign donor, and unfortunately our former trustee. The women mentioned in these posts are all your constituents, and except for one individual, none have held public office. If you're truly tired of the rhetoric and don't have willful blindness, then you will agree with what I'm about to share as some disgusting rhetoric from your friend. If not, I have enough posts to fill the next 18 months of public comment, which will include his rhetoric about local disabled children and the clergy at St. Timothy's Church. The first comment I'm going to read from Andrew Pappas's Facebook page is from the producer of Andrew and Dan Carroll's podcast. I believe it's called 2 Dudes, 1 Cup. I'm not sure. I don't listen. Josh, you've been on that show, so you know Joe Strecker. His comment says, I hear Leslie Rasmussen is very fertile. Andrew Pappas says, I'm not into hogging. Joe Hunt says, that would be called making bacon. Dr. Roy Hall says, well, at least now when you're doing her from behind, you can look at someone you truly love. Andrew Pappas, last time I saw a mouth like that, it had a hook in it. Joe Hunt says, physical assault can be kind of cool, but that's just me. Next post. Andrew Pappas says, several crazies here in A-Town. Several. Right, Jen? Barbara? The crazy Barbara he's talking about is sitting next to me, and she won the Volunteer of the Year award for Forest Hills School District. Next post. Andrew Pappas says, local leftists are tattooing themselves as a sign of Pappas derangement syndrome. Who else does that? MS-13? Come on, ladies, get with the struggle. So much I could say, but liberalism is truly a mental disorder. Abby, glad I reside in your skull. Kind of empty in there. Is that Andrea or Mary in the reflection? Andrew Pappas says, I also call them fat. By the way, who's the one with the man hands in the back? Zach Craig says,
Your time
Thank
is
you.
ended. Thank you for your comments.
not a problem, I'll see you next month.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else for public comment?
I'll take this with me.
Okay, good.
Roy Hall, 2884 Langle Road. Well, some are worried about Facebook posts. I'm more worried about what's going on in the neighborhood. If you recall that I brought up an incident about 2 months ago, an assault that wasn't prosecuted or charged. And now, at that time, I brought up how I'm seeing things in the township that are reminding me of the inner cities I grew up in, and these things are not making me very happy and are likely to drop property values if it continues. And now we have the incident of the intimate interaction on Beachmont Avenue that I'm sure everybody's either heard about or seen the video. There's still vandalism going on in the town center parking lots and things like that. And again, I don't know if the trustees have ever addressed the homeless encampment in Stansbury Park. I mean, I know Stansbury Park is not part of Anderson, but that needs to be a conversation going on with what the city of Cincinnati is going to do about it, because there's crossover. It's getting to the point where, again, I grew up in the inner city, south side of Chicago, lower east side of Cleveland. Things don't really scare me. However, my wife, on the other hand, did not. We were at the local City Chicken the other evening, to the point where the clientele was of such a nature that my wife felt the need to not eat there and we should take the food home. So it doesn't do me well, having studied hard, made a good living, saved money, live in an affluent neighborhood, pay all that real estate taxes for our school system, and my wife can't feel comfortable eating in an establishment on Beachmont Avenue. So again, I'm asking, what are the trustees doing about these issues? Because this is I've seen this slide before. This is how it begins. Everybody ignores it. We're worried about Facebook page things. We're worried about this, that, or the other instead of the hardcore issues. I mean, is there a curfew in Anderson? I don't know. You tell me. You know, is there a curfew? I know for a fact that the city of Cincinnati is enacting mandatory overtime for police officers from 4 p.m. to 12 p.m. in a given area to make sure that their restaurants and businesses are protected from increasing crime. Maybe that's something we need to think about. And I'm not saying every day. Theirs is going to be 7 days a week, 365. I don't think we need that, but have we done an analysis of where the most crime is, when it occurs, and maybe we need more intense policing there, just like we're doing for the riverbend. You know, it's pretty much the same thing.
Thank you. And
Thank
I
you.
will say, I do want to comment on your comments, but I'll just stick to the agenda and wait for trustee comments. I'll see if anyone else has any more public comment, but I do have a comment about that. Sure. Okay, anyone else for public comment, please? Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
My name's Jerry Frankenhoff. I live at 1361 Karate Court. Just have a real simple thing to bring up. The Anderson, I live Karate Court, if you know where it is. It's right down the hill from the town center, which is a great place. I love Anderson Township, everything we're doing. But there's the tap house. Plays music. They bring bands in on Fridays and Saturday nights, and they play loud music till like 1 o'clock in the morning. I got to get up at 7, and it's hard to sleep. I mean, it's really loud. And all I would hope is that there's some kind of thing that the trustees can do to either put a noise limit or make it where at 11 o'clock they shut their doors and turn off their outside speakers so that my windows aren't vibrating. That's all I've got. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
for your
you.
comment and bringing that to our attention. Anyone else? Hello. Come on down. Good evening.
Good evening, I'm Bruce Burno at 2156 Heather Hill Boulevard. Three quick comments. I talked to you last month about Green Umbrella. I understand it's on the agenda tonight, but I think if I'm getting all this right, I think the application you submitted was for the sustaining level of membership, which is just $1,200 a year. I was hoping you'd join at the leadership level, which is $2,400 a year, given the size of our township and so forth. But maybe we can chat about that when that comes up for discussion. I started high. I didn't offer the lower. I didn't offer the lower level.
Yes.
But no, I know. Okay. There's always next year, right? Second, on the budget discussion from last month, I didn't say anything on the website about, is the budget posted on the website? Couldn't find anything on the website
I
about the
thought it was after the
2025
public
budget. But
hearing.
anyway, just one quick comment on that is that I know we have 2 school resource officers, and the school district pays for one, the township pays for the other. I would advocate really the school district ought to pay for both their school resource officers. They just passed a huge operating levy. They're the largest source of tax expenditure within the township. Again, I'm not opposed at all to having school resource officers. Maybe they ought to have one in every building. But the park district is a separate tax-paying entity. They pay for their own patrol officer. I just think school district ought to pay. If they want to have 2 SROs, they ought to pay for them themselves, and that would allow Anderson Township maybe to have an extra paramedic in Station 6 for all their medical calls, or an extra sheriff's deputy of our own. Again, no opposition to having SROs, but I think the school district ought to pay for their own SROs. Thirdly, on a positive note, I just want to acknowledge Suzanne Klingman's upcoming retirement from the township. I've been a member of the Township Tree Committee for 15 years. She's been outstanding, not only in terms of the tree committee service, but also the work with getting the Heritage Center approved as an arboretum. And to me personally, in my Trees and Gratitude program, I already planted trees at all the Hillcrest, Asbury, Deacon's Bench Cemetery, Bower Preserve, Bower Park, Route 32 bike trail. She's been really helpful to me in all 3 of those. Earlier this summer, I had an issue at Bower Park where one of the larger trees had fallen over on one of my small trees, my 1-inch tree. Didn't break the tree, bent it over. I called Suzanne. This is kind of a funny story. I called Suzanne, get a response from her within about 5 or 10 minutes that she's called Public Works. Get another message from her about 10 minutes later that Public Works was on the way. Get another message later, about 30 minutes later, that it's been taken care of. So it was all done within an hour. I mean, it's ridiculous, but it was great. So again, I just want to acknowledge and recognize Suzanne Klingman for her retirement and her service to the township. She's been very valuable. Leaves big shoes to fill. I got 15 seconds left. Thanks.
Nice job.
Thanks, Bruce.
Great comments. Thank you so much. Anyone else? Come on down. Hello.
Just real quick, I wanted to
Can you
confirm.
state
What's
your
your
name
name?
and address?
Bo Girth,
Thank you.
Cathedral Hill Drive.
Thank you, Mr. Kerr.
I'm just curious, does Papa still work for the township government? He does not. Do you all have any control over what random people say online at all? No? Does anyone else have control over that other than him? No? Okay, I was just curious. Thank you.
Okay, so we will have decorum at this meeting.
It's not an open meeting.
Okay. We are going to have decorum. It is emotional sometimes when people are making a comment that you disagree with. We just ask that you be respectful. If you have a comment, please come to the mic to do so during public comment. Anyone else for public comment? Okay, so I will close the public forum, and then we will transition to trustee comments. Any comments?
Well,
You want me to start?
a couple things.
Okay.
First of all, Bruce, thank you for recognizing Suzanne. She has been a very valued employee for many years, and I thank you for bringing that up. Mrs. Capel, you write us a lot of emails about this. I understand you know, how you feel. This is not a back and forth. I'm just telling you my comments. Again, we have I don't pay attention to what Andrew writes. When you said, oh, you're friends with him, and I'm like, I'm not friends with Andrew, and then I looked, for some reason, I guess I am friends with him, but I didn't even think I was. So I have no control over Andrew. None of us have any control over Andrew. What I choose to do is I don't read it. I just choose not to read it. All this crap that's out there on Facebook, I don't read it. And whatever people were talking, like half the things, like, what is he talking about? I don't know. Some of these things, and maybe that's to my detriment, I don't know. You sent that to us, I know, we got it. But it's like, okay, yes, I've had my picture taken with Andrew. I was a trustee with Andrew for however many years. But whatever, you know, there's going to be pictures with us together. Does that mean I support everything Andrew posts? No, I do not. He says he and some of his followers say some vile things. I will grant you that. I think they're vile. But again, I just don't read them. I don't like them. I don't read them. So that's all I'm going to say on that. I did want to say, are we talking about just what's been said or just regular comments?
It's just regular comments.
Okay,
You can talk
regular
about anything.
comments. Yeah. On a happy note, we are starting a Anderson Native Plant Initiative, and that's going to be this Saturday at 10 a.m. We have a group of volunteers that this is, you know, we want to have more native plants in our community. The native plant for this year is the good old black-eyed Susan. So it's easy. It's very, very easy. So we can all plant one, and I've already planted mine. And so it's going to be here. I think it's right outside here in our at 10 a.m. So please come. I will be here, and it's a really nice initiative for our community. So that's it.
Thank you, Dee.
Thanks, Dee. I will say to Ms. Capel that my post on Facebook referring to the vitriol that's out there applies to my fan club on the left. It applies to Andrew Pappas, and least if not which, it applies to you. And how many emails did we receive from you? I don't know you. I'm talking. I don't know you. I don't know you. I've never said one thing about you, yet it hasn't stopped you from lobbing all kinds of hate our way on a continual basis.
Yeah, I feel it from your front every day.
Ma'am, if I may, I'm sorry, but there is
Dr. Clegg.
a revised code section that allows us to remove somebody who disrupts the board. You had your minutes to talk. It is the board's turn to talk.
That's
Thank
exactly
you.
right. That's the last thing I'm going to say about that. Roy, to your comments, we, above all else, put the most resources we can into public safety, period, end of story. Fire, EMS, and the police, which we're working on their contract right now as well. I would say we overspend, I mean, if that's possible, on first responder services. We have more flock cameras, so you mentioned some of the petty crimes that are going on. We've invested a ton of resources in these flock cameras that are going to take care of that problem specifically. Personnel, all of that is the first thing we think about. So yes, while we are a big community, I mean, as Vicki said, we're the 5th largest township in the state of Ohio. That many people, of course, there's going to be things that happen from time to time. But by and large, our crime compared to the number of people we have is significantly less than, and I'm not talking against the city of Cincinnati or Mount Washington, I'm talking about in general across the state. So we hear you, it's the most important thing we think about on this board.
Thank you. I have a couple of comments. So first, I will also say that I'm very excited, Dee mentioned this, for the Native Plant Initiative. And why, one thing, not just because I love black-eyed Susans and I have in my yard, is because I love when there is something good and positive that comes out of the community at large. So that is a citizens committee that came up with that and did a lot of work for that, the subgroup for that, put in a lot of research. They did a beautiful presentation for us at the larger committee. And that's what brought this to fruition, as well as this is something that we had been chatting about through the years. So that's the backstory behind that. And so it's very exciting to see that come to life. I really want to thank Steve Severs, Jennifer and her team for the parade. It was so well done. Tons of crowds there, lots of participants, but it was very organized. It's so hot, you get there early if you're participating, and they're out there too. It's their holiday too, but they're there, and they put a lot of work into making it just a really wonderful day for our community. We're very grateful, thank you. And so now I do want to address the public comment as well. So I'll start with Mrs. Capel, since you went first. I understand that there's a lot of history there. Some of it I'm privy to, some of it I'm not, between you and this individual. I understand it can be unsettling to have your name or face on Facebook talked about you, especially when there's a contentious relationship. I think it's challenging if that person is an elected official. You feel like you want to hold them to a certain standard. I'm responsible for myself. I do not police the speech of residents. I have been offended by correspondence from residents, including you. It's a part of it. It's a part of being in the social media space. I don't love it. In fact, you'll notice that I'm not on there probably as much as I should be, because I don't find it to be the most productive space to get work done, to meet together, to work. Outside of this situation that you have with Andrew, if there is something about Anderson Township, I'd be happy to meet and discuss it with you, but this is something that you've shared with us quite a bit. I don't know what else we could do, because the bottom line is, if someone's upsetting you this much on social media, it may be wise to block the individual, remove yourself from constantly interacting with the person. It's a challenge if you're on that space and constantly interacting. And so I'm seeing some posts here and there. I can't get into all of that. It may be best to block individuals that are causing you a lot of distress, okay? I'd like to also address Mr. Hall's comments. So working in healthcare and in clinics, one of the biggest things we say is see something, say something. So I think in situations where Lieutenant Downing or officers are receiving a video after the fact, it's challenging to investigate. So if you're called on the spot, I think it's a little bit easier. Did they get into a vehicle to capture that vehicle on the flock camera to track them as they move through the township or city? This also goes for things like the vape stores and reported illicit, illegal activity. Please contact us or the sheriffs immediately on the spot. They are responsive. It makes it a lot easier to follow up and make sure that we're actually able to get the right person in the situation that it happens. So that's what I would encourage, because I do see things on Facebook as well, and so that it's trying to find out where and what time that happened and tracking on the camera. So we do encourage people to report that to the non-emergency line right away so that we can get out there on site and on scene and then follow up. I know the situation you discussed, there's multi-levels and layers there. Lieutenant Downing isn't here, but there is an investigation. We take that very seriously. Mr. Franklin, thank you for your concerns, and so we will also, I will discuss that with Lieutenant Downing as well. Mr. Bruno, thank you for your comments. Yeah, there's a lot of history there with that first school resource officer. This is something that we've discussed on and off throughout the years. We're happy to continue discussing it and always to look critically at what's the best use of those dollars. Thank you. And also for mentioning Mrs. Klingman. I think that's all the comments I have.
Real quick, we do
Yes.
have a curfew, correct?
We do, and a noise ordinance.
Yeah, we do have a curfew. Yes.
So we will
do.
investigate.
Right, Steve,
Yeah.
you pulled it up right there for a second? Or somebody pulled it up, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, oh, yeah, it's over here. So yeah, we do have a curfew. What? Yeah, it's hard to.
is it midnight to, and David Downing's not here, but midnight to, I believe, 5:30 in the morning is the, for 18 under.
12:01 a.m. to 5 a.m. And this has been in place since
A long time.
the 90s.
Yeah.
That curfew is there. But again, and I'd like to echo what Mrs. Lawson said. With township staff, we don't monitor Facebook. We don't have the time. You don't want us to be wasting our time monitoring Facebook. So when things happen, when there's curfew violations, when there are activities on Beachmont Avenue, posting it on Facebook to Watchful Eyes or wherever it's posted, it doesn't get to the staff that can help you resolve that issue. It is important. The sheriff's office, the comm center, does have a non-emergency number. It's 825-2280. And it will get you a 911 dispatcher, but it's on the non-emergency side that they can take action. So again, with the curfew, it is on our website. I do want to, if I may, Mr. Burno, the budget was supposed to be on our website. Mrs. Disk and I asked that it be put on there, but it's not there yet. So we'll get that corrected, but I can get you a copy if you need it. So, yeah. Okay.
Fascinating reading, I'm sure.
Thank you. Okay, moving over to our fiscal officer, Brian.
Thank you. Mr. Burno said fascinating reading, so yes, this is the fascinating portion of the meeting. I'd like to say we're less than 2 months from our go live date on the new accounting.
Excuse me, could you use your microphone or adjust it because we can't hear you very
That's
well?
right.
I mean,
There you go.
Oh, it wasn't on. There you go. Oh, geez. So we're less than 2 months away from the go-live date for the accounting system. Fiscal and finance have been in the what they call the sandbox. So we've been in there seeing how it works, doing the transactions, actually using it for some research that the current system doesn't provide. And Mrs. Disk and Mrs. Arnold did a training for the staff on Monday. I sat in and to introduce them to what the system looks like and how to operate it. So there'll be more staff joining the sandbox and some formal training. So if you would like to attend one of those trainings and see the exciting new system working, I can send you an invite.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
thanks. But actually, I might actually like to see it just so that, because we're going to be able to, it'll look, the reports will be more usable than the other ones, so we may be able to get in there and
Yes.
actually find some information. So yeah, I wouldn't
Yes,
mind.
if you wanted to get in
playing
and
around
run
in the
s- you
sandbox.
could run some reports if you'd like.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay.
For the financial reports, we're halfway through, so this is the June financials. We did get our first advance for our real estate taxes for the second half settlement. So the general fund is 62% collected for the year of what we estimate. And that's similar for the funds overall. Most of them are at either 50%. If they receive some real estate tax, then they're in the 60 to 70%, just because of when the advances hit from the county auditor. And on the expenditure side, we're only a third of the way expended based on what the final appropriations were. So half of the way through the year, but we've spent only a third of what we've appropriated. And that's for the general fund and overall.
Okay, so we got the resolution.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I move to adopt a resolution authorizing electronic auto pay. Oh, wait, not yet. Okay, that's,
That was just the financial report.
oh, okay. Sorry.
Sorry, I
Jumped
said
ahead.
yes.
Yes, yes. I was like, okay, are we ready for
That was
this?
also my
Okay.
fault.
Next is the
Go ahead.
resolution.
Okay.
All right, so fiscal and administration, we're working on this. So we have several
expenditures that are recurring monthly basis. So an example are utilities and fuel, and then we have an appendix to that resolution or Exhibit A. So Duke, Cincinnati Waterworks, cable, those kinds of things, Rumpke. And so we're asking for authorization to put those on an auto pay. So that, we'll still, we'll pick them up in the reconciliation. So, and they'll still be within the appropriations in the budget. It's just that they'll be on auto pay.
Okay. These are recurring expenses?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I move to adopt a resolution authorizing electronic auto pay of certain township expenses.
Second.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Girth?
Yes.
Mrs. Lawson?
Yes.
And I have the June 5th meeting minutes.
Move to adopt the meeting minutes from June 5th, 2025.
Second.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Girth?
Yes.
Mrs. Lawson?
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Brian. This evening, do we have anything from finance from Tammy Disk? Thank you, Tammy. Nothing from planning and zoning this evening? Thank you, Mr. Drury. Fire and rescue. Chief Martin.
Good evening.
Hello.
Tonight we have two items. The first would be in reference to a grant. Back in February of this year, you allowed us to apply for an Ohio EMS priority grant. So I'm happy to say we just received a notice of award for that grant. So we will be getting $2,707.74 if the trustees allow us to accept the grant. So there is a resolution before you for your consideration to accept that grant for this calendar year.
Thank you. We love grants.
I move to adopt a resolution accepting the grant from the Ohio EMS Priority Grant, Ohio Department of Public Safety, Division of Emergency Medical Services pursuant to the authority of Section 505.10 of the revised code. Was that the right one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Second.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Girth?
Yes.
Mrs. Lawson?
Yes.
Thank you. The second item we have, as we sometimes do throughout the year, we have cleaning down our firehouses and our bays. We come across equipment that is old, no longer capable of being used, or out of date, just not up to date with the latest technologies. And we are requesting to have the list that's part of this resolution placed on the public the public auction site. Again, it's the same one we've been using for a couple years. There's no cost to the township. We put it on there. The buyer pays the premium to the website, and we generate money for the township and clear out our bays. So there's a resolution for your consideration for those listed items that go on the public auction.
I move to adopt a resolution authorizing the sale of surplus equipment pursuant to Section 505.10 of the revised code, providing for sale of personal property via internet auction.
Second.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Girth?
Yes.
Mrs. Lawson?
Yes.
That's all the fire department has.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you so much. We do appreciate that. All that effort to keep costs low and to that very diligently always looking for opportunities to get rid of things on the auction site and get money back in the township. We appreciate you. Thank you. So we don't have anything tonight from the sheriff's office. So we'll move over to Public Works, and it's Mr. Severs.
It is, but I'll never be able to match up to Mr. Luganbuehl. But one just to announce, Eric will be presenting. There have been some questions about the paving program and such. We weren't able to coordinate that for this evening, but Eric will be here next month to talk a little bit about that further. Ms. Earhart has pulled up the map that's behind you, and I just want to touch on a few things. So the paving program was authorized by the board earlier this year. About $2.2 million was the bid, and we do a 2-year cycle. So concrete work happens 1 year, paving happens the second year. The key for residents is that it is a multi-step process. We don't dictate when the contractor works and at what stage. We have an end date. So I know on Karate Court, you experienced that firsthand over the holiday weekend, and we're very appreciative of the patience that was there, because they'll post streets and they may work, they may not. The weather's dependent. Karate was very difficult because of the presence of on-street parking. But if you look at the map behind you, what's tricky about this year's program and last year's program for that matter is there's about 50 streets involved, which is a large number of roadway miles. I think it's about 8% of our total mileage, if memory serves me right, somewhere in that, of 123 miles. But it's scattered all about the township. So we normally like to go in and tackle 4, 5, 6 neighborhoods. And so folks have a sense if they're working in the street next to them, the street behind them. Nobody has a sense if you live on Lawyer that they're working on Heatherwood or they're working on Concord Green. They're right around the corner, or for this matter, they're working across the township. So it's an incredibly challenging process for the contractor this time of year, for our Public Works Department to stay on top of this as well, but they are. And it is typically 4 stages. There's a stage of grinding off the existing roadway, which has happened on all the streets that's there. Then there's the next stage of applying a base or an intermediate course to kind of hold that area. And so that's what's happened on majority of those streets, working from the northeast to the southwest. The next phase involves full depth restoration, tearing out areas, and also doing adjustments to utility manholes, those types of things. And then the final phase is paving. And there's actually a 5th phase, which is a sealant or application that's put down here late this year or early next. So they're out there a lot, but they don't just work on a street and do it all and then move to the next street and do it all. They go across the community, and that allows us to accomplish a lot of cost savings as well, economies of scale, and helps to keep the costs down that way. But it does require a little more patience, and while work may not be occurring in front of someone's house, it is occurring, and they are moving. So we have a quality contractor. Jurgensen is they're a big company, and we're pleased with the work that they're doing, but we know that doesn't come without the pain and pressure. So Eric will chat about that a little bit next month. We'll show photos to help explain that, but I know the board may be getting questions. Residents may have questions. They do have questions, hence the reason we provide the explanation on our website and through social media, and we'll continue to use that source and those sources to keep the public updated. So I don't know if there's any questions the board has at this point in time or anything you've heard. We just want to make sure until he has that full presentation that you have a little sense on how that works, or you can always refer them to staff. I know that Shelley does a phenomenal job of talking with residents and responding to emails. So
She does. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Okay, so now I will turn things over to our Township Administrator, Vicki Earhart, for the remaining agenda items.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Magna, our facilities manager, has received bids, actually a bid, for the Heritage Center parking lot rehab. The Heritage Center, for those of you that are not familiar, is this historic home that is owned by the township on the corner of Forest and 8 Mile. It is heavily utilized by our residents for events, everything from weddings to birthday parties, showers, graduation parties. And because of the historic nature of the home, the parking lot is actually pavers. And those pavers have seen better days. So one of the things that I am most proud of with staff is that everybody takes care of what we have. This building is an example. We opened in 2008. We often get people that walk in here that have never been here before that say, "Oh, did you just open in the last couple of years?" And it's because of the maintenance. As our facilities manager, Mr. Magna is very cognizant of maintaining what we own, what the property owners in this community have provided. And the Heritage Center is next on the list for rehab of that parking lot. The published estimate for the work was $195,000. The recommended bid totals $208,093.80. Since that bid is not more than 20% above the estimate, the board can accept that bid, can award that bid. And since this is a historic home, it is going to be funded out of the general fund. It does not qualify for a TIF expenditure. So there is a motion before the board that would accept the bid from J.K. Muir Corporation.
I move that this board hereby accepts the bid of $208,093.83 from J.K. Muir Corporation, deemed to be the best and lowest and/or most responsible bidder for Heritage Center parking lot rehab project in accordance with the bid plans and specifications, together with a 10% contingency for a maximum appropriation of $228,903.18 in township funds using general funds allocated in the 2025 budget. Further, this board hereby authorizes and directs the township administrator to give timely notice of award to the contractor and after consultation with the law director, enter into a contract with J.K. Mural Corporation in accordance with their bid for the Heritage Center parking lot rehab project.
Second.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Girth?
Yes.
Mrs. Lawston?
Yes.
Thank you. The next item is Green Umbrella, and I think Mr. Burno left.
Yep.
Mr. Burno came to this board during, I'm sorry?
He didn't want to hear it.
Through the last meeting, and encouraged the board to become a member of Green Umbrella, which is a regional sustainability alliance of Greater Cincinnati with over 200 member organizations and 200 individual members who are passionate about enhancing the environmental health and vitality of our region. Tri-State Trails, some of the other programs are part of Green Umbrella. This board did belong to Green Umbrella a number of years ago, and at their direction, I went ahead and authorized the membership in the amount of $1,250. I did that. It's within my authorization, and that would allow us to become members in time for Sarah Donovan, Assistant Director of Planning and Zoning, to attend an event that's coming up next week. So just want to let the board
Thank
know
you.
I did take care of that. The next item we have, and this is a little bit earlier in the year than we normally do it, but the board is to set the date for trick-or-treating in Anderson Township. We are requesting authorization now so that we can get that date noted in the calendar for the next edition of Anderson Insights, which will be coming out in August. So there is a motion before you.
I love that it's on a Friday. I move to set Friday, October 31st, 2025, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. as Halloween trick-or-treat in Anderson Township.
Second.
Mrs.
Yes.
Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Girth?
Yes.
Mrs. Lawston?
Yes.
Thank you. There's one item arising from executive session discussion, and if the board will bear with me, I have a proposed resolution that our law director, Margaret Comey, and I worked on that we would recommend that the board consider approving this resolution. Again, it is lengthy, so if you'll bear with me. I am asking that the board adopt a resolution approving rent reduction and authorizing the township administrator to give notice to the Anderson Township Park District of rent reduction under lease agreement with respect to the Recplex in Anderson Township. Whereas Anderson Township, County of Hamilton, Ohio, acting by and through its Board of Township Trustees, is the fee owner of that real property on which the Anderson Park Recplex is located at 6915 Beachmont Avenue in Anderson Township, known as the Recplex property. And whereas in 2019, the Board of Township Trustees acquired the Recplex property from Beach Acres, formerly known as the General Protestant Orphan Home, doing business as Beach Acres Parenting Center, an Ohio nonprofit corporation, for the purchase price of $1,500,000. And whereas prior to the date of the township's acquisition of the Recplex property, Beach Acres had entered into that certain lease dated on or about January 3rd, 2007, with the Anderson Township Park District, including all supplements and amendments thereto, and is most recently supplemented by letter of agreement dated April 18th, 2018, collectively known as the 2007 lease, whereunder the Park District leased from Beach Acres the non-exclusive use of the buildings referred to as the Geiger Building, which is also known as the Anderson Park Recplex, the grounds between the Geiger Building and Beachmont Avenue, and the existing parking facilities known as the Kilgore Lot adjacent to the Geiger Building. And whereas the initial term of the 2007 lease terminated on December 31st, 2007, but was subject to automatic renewal for additional and successive one-year terms, commencing at the expiration of the initial term and any renewal term, and except for the rent as defined in the 2007 lease, the terms and conditions of the 2007 lease shall remain unchanged during any renewal term. And Whereas the annual rent payable by the Park District under the 2007 lease during the calendar year 2007 was $42,411, payable in equal monthly installments of $3,537 in advance on the first day of each month during the term. And whereas subsequently Beach Acres increased the rent payable by the Park District from time to time. And whereas pursuant to the aforesaid letter agreement dated April 18th, 2018, Beach Acres increased the rent for the Recplex from $5,598.93 per month from March 1st, 2015 to $6,481.46 per month from May 1st, 2018. And whereas, in connection with the acquisition of the Recplex property by the Township, pursuant to that certain assignment of rents, leases, and assumption agreement dated as of March 18th, 2029, the assignment, Beach Acres assigned to the Township all of Beach Acres' rights, titles, and interests in the Recplex property, and all of those tenant leases, rental agreements, and arrangement, and tenant deposits for and relating to the Recplex property, including the 2007 lease, and the Township accepted the assignment of, among other things, the 2007 lease, and assumed all of Beach Acres' obligations thereunder. And whereas since the Township acquired the Recplex property in 2019, there has been no increase in the rent payment payable by Anderson Township Park District under the 2007 lease. And whereas the Board of Township Trustees authorized the purchase of the Recplex property by resolution number 18-1001-02, wherein the board acknowledged that the Park District, as lessee of the Recplex property under the 2007 lease, had managed and operated the Recplex and provided recreational programs for the benefit of citizens in the township and the Park District. And the board also acknowledged its willingness to acquire the Recplex property, make certain improvements thereto, and lease the Recplex property to the Park District for the continued operation of the recreational programs by the Park District. And whereas, pursuant to resolution number 18-1001-02, this board stated its intention to fund the acquisition of the Recplex property with cash generated by the Anderson Township TIF, the 1994 TIF, so long as the Park Board agreed to reimburse the board for a portion of the purchase price in the amount of $500,000. And whereas this board created the Stonecrest TIF area adjacent to the remainder parcel owned by Beach Acres with the expectation of applying up to $2 million from its share of revenues generated by the Stonecrest TIF, together with $1 million from the Forest Hills Local School District share of revenues generated by the Stonecrest TIF, to fund debt service on obligations to be issued by the township to finance the improvements. And whereas the township issued its general obligation limited tax recreational facility improvement bonds, Series 2019, in the aggregate principal amount of $2,225,000 for the purpose of paying the costs of acquiring and constructing the improvements, together with necessary appurtenances thereto, paying capitalized interest, and paying finance costs with respect to the issuance of the bonds, and proceeded to acquire and construct the improvements. And whereas the cost of the improvements, $2,200,000, was paid from the proceeds of the sale of the bonds, and whereas this board further authorized the Anderson Park Recplex parking expansion project for a maximum appropriation of $409,981.05, of which approximately $402,077 was paid from the 1994 TIF fund, and approximately $4,973 was paid from the Stonecrest TIF fund. And whereas the cost of the acquisition of the Recplex property $1,500,000. The acquisition and construction of the improvements, $2,200,000. And the costs of financing and interest payable on the bonds over 30 years aggregated approximately $4,900,000. And pursuant to the plan of finance, the township committed $3,500,000, $1.5 million paid from the 94 TIF, $2 million to be paid from revenues generated by the Stonecrest TIF, and $500,000 advance for the benefit of the Park District. The Forest Hills Local School District committed $1 million payable in 30 annual installments of $33,333, and the Park District committed to pay $500 to the purchase of the Recplex property. And whereas the township applied the Anderson Township Park District's lease payments under the 2007 lease to the Park District's commitment to pay $500,000 toward the purchase of the Recplex property, relieving the Park District of paying rent for the improved Recplex property plus its $500,000 commitment. And whereas the township paid the entire cost of the Anderson Park Recplex parking expansion project, approximately $410,000, and therefore the township has paid approximately $910,000 in addition to its initial commitment to the Recplex property acquisition and improvements. And whereas rent paid by the Anderson Township Park District since the township assumed Beach Acres obligations under the 2007 lease has remained at the level payable in 2018 before the township acquired and improved the Recplex property, and for that period has aggregated $489,492.54 as of July 11th, 2025. And whereas this board desires to reduce the monthly rent payment payable by Anderson Township Park District under the 2007 lease as described herein, now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Township Trustees of Anderson Township, Hamilton County, Ohio, that this board hereby determines that it is in the best interest of the township and its citizens to reduce, and it hereby reduces the monthly rent payable by Anderson Township Park District under the 2007 lease from $6,481.46 to $3,500, a 46% reduction in monthly rent payable on the first day of each month, commencing with the monthly rent payable October 1st, 2025. The board further determines that the township administrator is hereby authorized to notify the Board of Park Commissioners of the Park District of the adjustment in the monthly rent payable by the Anderson Township Park District under the 2007 lease. The preambles hereto are and shall for all purposes be construed to be integral and operative parts of this resolution. And lastly, the board hereby finds and determines that all formal actions of this board concerning and relating to the passage of the foregoing resolution were taken in open meetings of this board, and that all deliberations of this board and of any of its committees that resulted in such formal actions were taken in meetings open to the public in compliance with all legal requirements, including without implied limitation, Section 121.22 of the Ohio Revised Code, as otherwise permitted thereby.
Second.
Oh, we need a,
We need to officially make a motion.
okay. We gotta go back up to the top.
She has to read the whole thing again now.
Yeah, okay.
So first of all,
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry, now I'm losing my, sorry. Thank you for reading that in detail. That's a lot of history there, a lot of information. I know it was a lot of numbers. This will also be posted, obviously, with our meeting minutes. But I do appreciate the detail in that and taking the time to read it all. It does help really everyone understand the history there and collaboration and partnership. And this makes sense at this time. So I'm sorry, Dee, if you want to go ahead and read.
No,
the
that's
resolution,
okay.
I won't cut you
But
off.
can I have a couple comments
Yes.
on it?
Yes.
Just the rent reduction is basically going back to the same rent, or less than the rent they paid in 2007. So,
Yes.
That's correct. And that number was calculated based on the fact that the township owns the facility. We still maintain the facility. That covers our costs to maintain it, as far as HVAC, as far as equipment, as far as staff time, our facilities manager to maintain that Recplex facility. So that is why we arrived at the $3,500 number.
yeah. And one other thing, on page 2, the second paragraph, there was a mistake. It says
It's the 2019 instead of 2029. I picked that up when I was reading
Correct
it.
that in the, yeah.
Yes, I will correct that.
The second says 2029.
Yes,
Instead
and
of
I read it as 2029, and it should be
Yeah.
2019.
Okay.
Okay.
I will
so-
correct
Well,
that.
and before you read that, I
Yeah.
mean, this is an important resolution because unfortunately, there's been some misinformation out there about our involvement with the Park District and people spreading misinformation about our involvement in the Park District. And this just shows, this proves black and white the history of what we've done to work with the Park District and the collaboration. So not only did we, in so many words, that long resolution, bought the rec center, which Beach Acres was going to get rid of, maintained it, renovated it, and are still allowing the Park District to run it, operate it,
Never
collect
increase
revenue
the
from
rent.
it, and we're going to reduce their rent. So this implication that we're not, for some reason, not supportive of what they're doing, this spells it out. It's a great example of what the collaboration that does take place.
If I may add.
Yes.
A couple of things, as the public will know when you drive past the facility. It says Anderson Parks Recplex. Even though the Board of Township Trustees owned it, the board authorized it to be labeled Anderson Park Recplex. We installed the sign. We have, it is advertised as the Anderson Park District facility. As far as the renovations, yes, we did expand the parking lot, which was an addition outside of what we were originally planning to do. And as far as the Park District's contribution of the $500,000 toward the purchase of the Recplex, this board, originally, they could have said, you owe us the $6,400 and something a month in lease payments, plus the $500,000 for the purchase. And when I asked the board how they wished to proceed, the board said no. We'll just allow them to use their lease payments. The last thing I want to point out, and I think it's one of the most important things, is that the renovation was done using that Stonecrest TIF. We did not go back to the public. It is not a levy. It is utilizing the Stonecrest TIF, which went from Stonecrest to Anthology. It's now called the Ashton. But that's where the revenue came from to do this renovation.
That's a good point, because there's been some implications that we have not given any quote-unquote TIF money to the Park District, which in fact, that's exactly what this project is all about, and adds to the list of a number of other things that we've done that add up to probably more money that we've contributed. How much?
$5.6 million.
Which is probably more than they would have received if held
It's
harmless
even
on the
more.
TIF.
Okay.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's a great point.
It is, and I appreciate you bringing that up, Josh, because that does remind me of some other rhetoric that I've also been hearing, that, we need to be concerned, or that the public should be concerned about the trustees and their oversight of the parks. We don't have that oversight and authority. I do see our recreational amenities in the township being compared quite often to other communities, especially townships. And I wonder, do they have a separate park district that has taxation authority and that is a separate political subdivision? No, especially not the ones around here, because that's exceptionally rare. And so what that means is we don't have authority over the park district. So insinuating in different spaces that there is cause for concern, or that the public should be in fear of what the trustees will do to the parks, we don't have that authority. This is something good that we were able to do while we don't control who, their daily operations or what they do. When there is an opportunity as a township, for us to invest in something that benefits the community at large, well, yes, we still own that. We're not subsidizing the park district or just giving gifts. Reducing this lease payment is a big way that we can offer help during, especially times where they're looking at funding and going out for a levy. The background and thank you, Josh, for mentioning the past financial support in different ways, I think just really is a testament to the collaborative nature of this board from boards prior to me sitting here in the past, and how as township trustees, we're responsible and our purview is all 44,000 residents. So seeing an entity that our residents want and love and voted for fail is, I can't imagine that being something that any of us would be working towards or want at all. And so I appreciate you reading the entire resolution. I know it was lengthy, but it's important for everyone to know that there are some conversations about things happening today, but this has been a lot of work, a lot of partnership for many years and over different boards.
Yes, and I apologize, but I have one more point to make, if you would.
Please do, thank you.
Bear with me. The other thing is, I have been asked why the Board of Township Trustees does not turn over the recplex to the Park District. Why do we not turn over ownership? I mentioned during that lengthy resolution, this board took out bonds to pay for that renovation. While that debt is there, that debt is Anderson Township Board of Township Trustees debt. And until that debt is paid off, that property cannot be transferred to the Park District.
Thank you.
And I'd like to thank one of the newest Park Board Commissioners for being here tonight.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Are we,
Yes, we're ready.
okay. I move to adopt a resolution approving rent reduction and authorizing the township administrator to give notice of to Anderson Township Park District of rent reduction under lease agreement with respect to the recplex in Anderson Township.
Second.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Girth?
Yes.
Mrs. Lawson?
Yes.
Thank you. That's all we have this evening.
Thank you. So, again, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming. This will conclude our meeting, and our next regular monthly board meeting will be August 21st, 2025 at 5 p.m. with the public portion beginning at 5:30. And now I move to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
Mrs. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Girth?
Yes.
Mrs. Lawson?
Yes. Thank you.